Lost Railway Museum, two longtime volunteers, Jim Stormont and Ken Soderbeck. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Good to be here.
I call you volunteers, but the job description of what you both do, it would take me too long. There's just so much that you guys, particularly Ken, and all the restoration work that you've done over the years. Yes. It's amazing what the Lost Railway Museum has become. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Last night, a new addition. Tell us about it.
Last night we welcomed the Hello Dolly car. Came straight from San Francisco. It was in the Hello Dolly movie, and that's how we nicknamed it Hello Dolly. And we're just excited to have that. And then the work that Ken did on the mule. And I don't know if you have some pictures of that.
Yeah. So this is it's coming on a flatbed from San Francisco.
Well, actually Jackson.
Oh, okay. Well, it got somewhere. Somehow it got to from Jackson, from California.
From
Correct.
California. Yes.
Now it's not a interurban in the sense of what your museum is about, but it's a method of transportation from the same.
It was prior to electricity. Okay. They used horses and mules to pull the cars, and Jackson
right here
had horse-drawn cars before they had electric streetcars. So.
And this was so common in Michigan, for example. How many companies provided transportation like this?
In Jackson, there was only one, and they transferred over to electric when electricity became available, and then that went bankrupt and ended up in the hands of W.A. Foote and consumers, and that's how the interurban came about.
This is area. A mule, not a real one, but it
not
was
a real
mule.
one.
I was surprised mules pulled these wagons.
We have a photograph of this car. This car was from San Diego originally, and we have a photograph of it being pulled by a mule in San Diego. And mules are very common to pull cars like this.
One mule pulled that. How many people would be? Because it's pretty big.
This is not a large car. Maybe a dozen people at a time.
I couldn't pull it.
Horses.
Me either.
Horses were common, but mules were also common.
Now the restoration. So it wasn't. So you had to paint the mule. You
Right.
did that?
Ken did that. Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Ken is well known all throughout the country, actually, for the work he has done restoring, particularly fire engines and fire apparatus. But you've done a lot of restoration work at Lost Railway Museum from day one. So what was the condition of the horse car?
The horse car is pretty much as we received it. It was restored years ago in California, and it was in a museum in California for a while. And the museum had an auction, and Alex Pollock always had a hankering for horse-drawn cars. He went to the auction. Actually, bought two horse-drawn cars in California, and had them both shipped back here to Jackson. He lives in Chelsea.
This is last night at the event where you did the ribbon cutting. Lovely spread, Jim.
Beautiful.
I ate too much.
Me too.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
Everything.
Oh, look, there I am paying attention to Steve Rudolph.
Right.
There you are. You're on the board.
Yes, vice chair. Phil Willis is our board chair.
And Alex Pollock was there as well, who bought the horse car.
He bought the car at the auction in California and then has donated it to.
And because it was a
museum.
a piece of movie memorabilia, it was pretty expensive. I understand.
Yes, yes. Well, it was in the movie Hello, Dolly in 1969, I believe, when Barbara Streisand was in the movie. And the car in the movie was painted in colors to match Troy, New York transportation, which is where the movie supposedly was filmed. And it's been repainted now into the San Diego colors, as it was in San Diego.
So you're not trying to pull one over on anyone. It's a piece of history that's similar to what Jackson had, but it actually came from San
Right.
Diego.
Yes.
Correct.
There's
Trying to find one from Jackson nowadays is pretty difficult.
Right.
So.
Well, it's amazing you were able to find the. It is aptly named Lost Railway because this type of transportation, interurban, it only lasted how long?
1929, 1930.
So
And
just a couple,
automobiles.
3 decades.
Right. And we are fortunate to have been able to obtain 2 cars, which one of them actually ran on this railway. The other one is identical and was built on an order that the Jackson cars were built on. So it's identical to what was run on this railway in Jackson.
The fact that we had the Foots, the founders of Consumers Energy here in Jackson, they were a big factor in how Jackson became such a big user of interurbans and how we were able to have these lines here.
At the turn of the century, the local streetcar company, electric streetcar company, who bought electricity from consumers, went into bankruptcy. And because Consumers was the largest creditor, they took over the electric streetway railway. WA and J.B. Foote from Consumers got together with Mr. Boland from Grass Lake, who had already been involved in interurban service in the East, in Massachusetts and New York, and decided to put this line between Jackson and Grass Lake. The idea of Mr. Boland was eventually to have this line up from Detroit all the way to Chicago. However, that never occurred. But they did run this line between Jackson and Grass Lake for years, and they extended it to the west to Kalamazoo and north to Lansing. And so it was quite a large railway at the time.
And everyone that goes to Lost Railway, they say the same thing, and that is, why don't we still have this? This is really what this would be perfect for today. Was it something that was just ahead of its time, or what killed the interurban?
Actually, the development of automobiles and trucks
And
that
roads.
everybody could own did away with the interurban because people no longer needed that transportation from city to city, which is what the interurban did.
But in the heyday, like the Boland Express, how many people? What, like a year of traffic on the Boland Express?
The only thing that I've read is, this is another project we're working on, but from Grass Lake to Wolf Lake to the casino in Jackson, there was one day they brought 250 people out to the casino for an event. They had to put another car on the thing, but that was just in one day, 250 people. Total amount, I've heard 10,000 people per year rode the interurban car, but it's not been verified. I wasn't there. So.
It's lost to history, but you can speculate based on various factors like the casino and how popular Wolf Lake was as a destination. Did the Purple Gang ever use the interurban?
I don't know.
Couldn't guarantee that, but maybe they did.
Maybe.
Could be.
Now you guys are at the point where I don't see where you could put one more thing in the museum? What are you going to do?
We are putting
Oh.
one more thing. You mentioned casino at Big Wolf Lake. We are working on a replica casino for the time 1900 to 1913. Now, you asked me why 1913? That's when it burned. But we've got a lot of history on it. The interurban, Mr. Bullen put in a track from Grass Lake to Big Wolf Lake. Present day, it's the yacht club that's there, but the casino was actually built over the water. So when we get our display done, you're going to be amazed at what was available at that period of time.
Wouldn't you love to go back and just spend some time in that era for a minute?
Sure,
For a
Yeah.
minute.
absolutely.
For a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken, what's the most rewarding thing for you and all the work that you've been doing for LRM?
Just the fact that we can save this history and make it available to people who never heard of the interurban. Just, you know, the younger people nowadays have no idea what you're talking about when they
Yep.
say interurban railway.
Well, it's one of those things where people say, I had no idea this was here, but it is, and thanks to you guys for making it so.
Now, you did go on the virtual ride.
I did. I went on the Boland
Okay.
Express. I had a wonderful time.
Kids love that.
Yeah.
And they wave at the people in the video. And so,
I actually met the horse rider that was along
Patty
the tracks.
Harris.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, everyone get there if you haven't been. Thanks for coming in today.
you're welcome.
Sure enough.
In beautiful downtown Grass Lake, the Lost Railway Museum, thanks to Jim Stormont and Ken Soderbeck.